Let us place ourselves in the presence of the Lord. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. In verdant pastures he gives me repose. Besides restful waters he leads me, he refreshes my soul. He guides me in right path for his name's sake. Even though I walk in the dark valley, I fear no evil, for you are at my side with your rod and your staff that give me courage. You spread the table before me in the sight of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Only goodness and kindness follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for years to come. O Father, O gentle shepherd, we give you thanks, and we entrust to your care our fathers and mothers, our husbands and wives, our brothers and sisters, our sons and daughters, our relatives, our friends, to your gracious care. Shepherd them to a place of light and peace. For ourselves, too, we give you thanks for the shepherds you have given us in this life, the shepherds who guided us through difficult times this past year, the staff and all those who work here at Connecticut Hospice, our friends, our relatives, our church leaders, our temple leaders, all those that reached out to us in kindness and compassion. We thank you for their gift of shepherding. We ask, too, that you help us to shepherd others, to reach out in love, to reach out in compassion to those in need, to remind them what we have gone through, and to rejoice with them, to mourn with them, to walk with them. You are the good shepherd. We are your sheep. We give you thanks for that gift, and we ask you to be always our guide in all that we do. Amen.
Good afternoon. I'm Barbara Pierce. I'm the CEO of the Connecticut Hospice, and I want to welcome you all this afternoon on this beautiful day for one of our favorite events of our year, because it's so important to us and to what we do. I want to start by saying that if you're standing in the back, there are picnic tables up there, and there is a gazebo behind me from which you can both see and hear. So feel free to seek a seat, because you won't want to miss it, and you might not want to stand in the sun for the entire time. I also have to start by thanking the people who put this on every year, our staff members and our amazing volunteers who show up in force. Much of the time when you come to Connecticut Hospice, in fact, basically all of the time, you're greeted at the front door by a volunteer, and today you were as well. And so, you know, we celebrate our volunteers along with this day and thank them for all that they do. One of the things that we think about a lot is what our work means in the wider world. And 2 weeks ago, as some of you probably know, we celebrated it was a little more than 2 weeks ago, it was 3 weeks ago, we celebrated our 50th anniversary of the Connecticut Hospice. We were the country's first hospice, and we found out in the course of getting ready for this by talking to the founder's family and reading lots of materials that we were the first people in the world to do home hospice care. And we take that prominence and that heritage very seriously and want to keep it up in the same spirit in which it was started. It was started 50 years ago because people thought there was a better way. Florence Wald and her band of early employees decided that they could allow people to have closure and grace and dignity and peace at the end of life. And that mission hasn't changed for us in 50 years. And it leads us directly every year to this service. One of the most important things you can do in life is celebrate and grieve with people. And today we do both. We celebrate the lives of the people we're remembering, and we grieve the loss of their company. As you can see, most of you have probably been here before, but some of you may not have. This is one of the most beautiful places. I'm pretty sure it's the most beautiful hospice in the world. And the setting itself reminds us, as I was driving here today, I was listening to Elton John sing The Circle of Life. This site is the circle of life. We see the birds. We don't always like the geese, but we see the birds. We see the babies for the seagulls that are born on our rooftop decks, and we see the leaves change and the storms come in and nights start to fall earlier. And that serenity and that peace and that reminder that life goes on in the midst of trouble, and that people can end their lives in the knowledge that they have done everything that they wanted to do, is what gives us the ability to get up and do it again every day, because we do miss your loved ones just as you do. Maybe not to the same degree, because we didn't know them as well, but we do bond with them and we do miss them. And we're so glad that you came today to do something that we would do actually with or without you, because it's important to remember the people that aren't with you anymore. So I want to thank you all for coming, and Jeff Weber, our amazing board member and volunteer, and his team from Guymark have put together a program along with our musicians who are staff members, Hannah and Marissa, and I think that you'll enjoy it and find that it brings you comfort and closure. Thank you for coming.
Sunset and evening star, and one clear call for me. And may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea. When I put out to sea. When I put out to sea. And may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea. Such a tide as moving seems asleep, too full for sound and foam. When that which drew from out the boundless deep turns again home. Turns again home. Turns again home. When that which drew from out the boundless deep turns again home. Twilight and evening bell, and after that the dark. And may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar. When I have crossed the bar. When I have crossed the bar. I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar.
My wife, Carolyn, was a beautiful woman, incredibly friendly, warm. She had the most beautiful smile you've ever seen. And I met my wife when I was 15 years old. She was 14. She lived next door to my cousin. And the first time I met her, I said to my cousin, I said, "Wow, who's the tall blonde?" And he started to laugh, and he says, "That's Carolyn. She's only 4'10". I didn't know it. She was standing behind a car. She was standing on a rock. So I always told her that I was duped. I thought she was a tall blonde. My wife was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's in 2013. And we had no history of Alzheimer's in our family. And she started forgetting things. She had trouble doing normal functions. And she was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. And 4 months after she was diagnosed, I turned 62, and I took the opportunity to take an early retirement so I could be her full-time caregiver. And she suffered with Alzheimer's for 10 years. The first 4 years were manageable in that it was just basically memory issues. But in August of 2017, she had a total meltdown. That was the first day she didn't realize who I was. She didn't recognize me as her husband. And that was a very, very difficult day. And she progressed from early stage Alzheimer's to middle stage Alzheimer's in that one day. The last 9 days of my wife's life, we spent round the clock here at hospice and spent a lot of time here in the halls. And there's a particular painting in the halls of hospice that really struck me. It pictures a woman standing at a bridge, very, very pensive, looking at the bridge. You can only see the woman from behind, and you see the bridge. And to my mind, it's a woman getting ready to pass to the other side. And she's waiting and thinking about her passing. And the bridge is in a little disrepair, and there's a section in the middle of the bridge that's missing. And I stood there and I thought, and it came to me that once you pass across this bridge, there's no coming back. That's what I got from the painting, and it gave me some comfort because it almost seemed very peaceful that she was waiting to pass. And it brought me a lot of comfort. During my wife's final days here, when our family was all here, one of the support team, a woman, wonderful woman by the name of Gretchen from the arts department, came in and spent time with myself and my family, asking us a lot of questions about my wife and things she liked. And she took all of those answers and she incorporated it into a beautiful picture that really highlighted so many things in my wife's life in this one picture. It was amazing. And the picture we took, we had it framed. I have it on display in my home in a prominent space, and I will be forever grateful for Gretchen and her amazing art talent and the way she made my family so comfortable. I stayed overnight here in hospice with my wife because I didn't want her to be alone. And I saw some of the most incredible sunrises right outside my wife's bedroom window. And it breaks my heart that she was in a condition where she couldn't appreciate it. But I know she's here now, and I know she appreciates the sunrises every morning here at Connecticut Hospice. And I come here often because I feel very comfortable here. And this is where my wife had a very peaceful passing that I thank God for every day, and I thank Connecticut Hospice for every day. So I feel very close to my wife being here on the premises.
My friend Alice, I have known for 43 years. So it's a long story, but I'll hit the highlights. I was working as a nurse at a nursing home in Trumbull, and I met one of the caregivers there who was spectacular. And I said, "You're better than any nurse I'm working with here." And she said, "But I'm only an aide." And I said, "Then go to school." So she went, she got her LPN, and at that point I had moved over to Bridgeport Hospital. And when she got her LPN, she started working at Bridgeport Hospital. And once again I told her, "You're better than any nurse you're working with. Go back to school." And she did. And she went back to UB and she got her RN. And she was just one of those people that loved life, cared about everything and everybody. And she was phenomenal. She just was phenomenal. My friend Alice was a great teacher. She would teach people how to better care for themselves. She had a zest for life that she kind of imparted to her patients and to her friends. Alice was failing and her body wasn't giving out quite as quickly as her spirit. And she said, "Look, I'm done in this body. Please send me to hospice." She had such a positive experience with her father being here. She knew many people that had come to hospice. Alice had been to too many rehabs and nursing homes and was done with that, and she wanted what she knows only you give, and that's the love, the compassion, the caring, and the dignity, and that's what she asked for. One of Alice's passions is fishing for her whole life. And when she arrived at hospice, she's very outgoing. And she talked about her life and her things that she loved. People were so good to her here. They brought out her passions in life, and fishing came up. So you all arranged for her to go fishing out on your patio, and it was such a special day for her. Someone asked her, "What did you catch?" And she said, "Oh, you should see the one that got away."
Jill and I guess we were together for about 22 years, married for 18 of those years. The last few years of her life, it's funny, a lot of people think about cancer being this horrible negative disease, and it is. It's truly horrible. The one thing that sucks about cancer is that you have it. But, you know, we kind of just went through like, no, we're battling this. She was a fighter. She was tough as nails. And honestly, with her passing, it actually came to a surprise by us and her family because we were so adamant about her beating this and getting through this. The last few weeks of her life were really the only weeks that she really kind of suffered. It happened quickly. And even though, you know, you never wish someone to pass on from cancer, if you have to suffer through cancer, that was the way to do it quickly and at the end. She was my everything. It's still kind of hard to talk about her. We met in the Caribbean, in the British Virgin Islands, where I lived for a number of years. And she was a dive instructor, and we kind of hit it off right away. And down in the BVI, we kind of decided, you know, hey, if we're going to make this work, probably the British Virgin Islands is not the place to do it. We should probably come home and go back to the United States. And we did. And she was a Texas girl, and she didn't hesitate when I asked her to come up to Connecticut with me. And she was my everything. She really was. The one thing that probably stands out the most about Jill and I is that we had this running joke about our relationship with our son Trevor, and you know the things that we do on a daily basis around the house. And you know, we'll always say, "Oh, fine, I guess I'll do it all." Like, "Oh, sure, I'll do the dishes tonight because I do it all." And we always had that banter back and forth, back and forth. And you know, at the very end. The last day, I kind of got a smile from her when I said, "This is a really fucked up way. If you tell me that I've got to do it all now." And that's probably the funniest experience we had her at the ending. It wasn't just a relationship with my wife, it was also her family. And her family's been a rock for me through this whole process. And we are still extremely close to this day. And I couldn't have done it without her family and my family's help through a lot of this. And it's true, you marry your wife, but you also marry their family. And I was blessed to have two great relationships, both with my wife and with her family.
Rex was my husband for 52 years, and we grew up together, so I know him very well. He loved life. He loved his family. He loved me. He had so many talents. He loved where he lived. He loved his family. When I first met him, that was probably the first thing he told me about, was his mom and his dad and his sisters. And he loved his friends. He had so many interests. He was an artist, a musician, loved to fish. He was a great guy. Rex grew up on the water, and he summered where we ended up living for 50 years. And he was either in the water, on the water, or working to get in the water again. It didn't matter if it was summertime or fall or getting the boats ready for the summer. He just thrived on the water. I remember my daughter being so angry when hospice brought in a hospital bed because she couldn't get in bed with him and hug him, but she was by his side. And my son, our son, was there too. And it was really beautiful. He died with such grace, the way he lived. Our grandson, Cove, is 7, and Rex was his fishing mentor. He loved going out, crabbing and fishing and searching along the shore for whatever came along. And he went on a fishing tournament a couple of weeks ago, Cove, and he packed up his tackle box with all his worms and hooks and a picture of his grandfather, which he called Cappy. And he just talks about him all the time and misses him all the time. hospice really helped me to be there for Rex in a way that I had never experienced before. I was scared that I couldn't do it, couldn't watch him or help him die. And they gave me the strength and also explained what was happening. And that was such a comfort. And I think it was a comfort to my whole family.
My husband Bill was the love of my life, my best friend. And when I hear people talk about him even today, the two words that people always say is, he was so kind and such a gentleman. He never said an unkind word about anybody. He loved life. He loved any adventure, made life an adventure, and always wanted to enjoy everything that he possibly could. Bill knew that
his days were coming to an end. And he, every time I got to the hospital and I talked with him, and I'd stop at the room and I'd say, "Bill, how are you doing?" And he'd say, "I'm doing my best. That's all I can do." And even to the point of when he was transferring here to hospice, he was concerned about how he'd get his walker there and how he'd get his nutrition there. He wanted to continue living and enjoying life the best that he could, given his circumstance. Anytime Bill could get together with family and friends, it was an event. He loved being with family, friends. It didn't matter whether it was a 5-star restaurant or going for a hot dog at a hot dog stand. It was just being with people and enjoying things, and theater and concerts. And Bill's favorite group was the Rolling Stones, and loved going to their concerts. He'd make every opportunity available to go, and as he'd say, too many concerts, so little time. Bill and I were married 42 years, and prior to getting married, we found out that he had stage 3 Hodgkin's disease. But that didn't really influence our marriage at all. If anything, it made us stronger, and we dealt with the issues and the concerns of that over the 42 years. I think it made us stronger as a couple. One of the things with COVID the past few years and being home so much, Bill and I got into watching the sunsets from our living room windows. And it was so nice because we would comment together, and he'd say to me, "Look at the color tonight, it's orange or it's blue." And it was just something that we did together that was such a part of our routine. And make a long story short, I continue to do that even now today. Every night I look at the sunset and I tell him what it looks like, and it's my little way of still connecting with him. And but I always say to him, "Bill, you've got a better vantage point than I do. You see the sunsets better than I do now."
My mother, Marilyn, was a nurse, a mother, a daughter, and she was devoted to her children, her grandchildren, took wonderful care of her mother, and she was a warrior. It was challenging becoming responsible for your parent, especially when they don't want to give up that responsibility. But she was very clear in what her wishes were, and I tried to do my best to honor them, although we would bang heads constantly and continually over what I thought was best versus what she knew was best. The hardest part is when good things are happening, can't pick up the phone and call. Usually get home from an airport, the first thing I do when I land is I get in the car, call my mother. We just bought a new house. It was something that I know I would have picked up the phone and told my mother. She would have been jumping up and down. Couldn't do that. So I'd say those are the times that are most apparent to me. You know, those events where you'd pick up the phone and just call what's going on, and there's nobody at the other end of the phone.
I am the youngest of 5 girls. Marilyn was the middle child. And she had a tough time the last few years of her life with illness. And we did everything we could to keep her home and with us. And she was in and out of hospitals, in and out of rehabs. And it was getting to the point where I needed hospice. I needed help. And I initiated it. Her children were a little taken back by it because I didn't want a committee about this. I needed them. And they were under the old assumption, hospice, you're dying tomorrow. And that is so not true, and especially in Marilyn's case. I had hospice in the middle of January. She passed on March 12th. And those 2 months were wonderful months for her. It gave her a little lift in life. They went over all her meds. She was on 14 meds in the morning and 10 at night. And the doctors here and the nurses went through everything, and we just whittled it all down. And they gave her something because she was getting depressed, because she knew she wasn't going to get any better. And they gave her something that just boosted her, and she had a wonderful 2 months with her family and friends and people out of town coming to see her. And they were just wonderful. They were godsends to us. Marilyn was my older sister, one of 4, and she was beautiful. She was a beautiful person inside and out, and she loved Elvis, so much so that I remember stories of her in grammar school where the nuns took her I Love Elvis button and threw it in the incinerator, and she and her girlfriend after school jumped in and got them. But the day she died, I was playing music by her ear, and I was playing Love Me Tender, and she goes, no, 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 Jeannie, Jailhouse Rock. And then she's getting like this. And she was loving it. And she had the most angelic look on her face and so peaceful. She was not scared. Her son was there holding her hands. Her daughter was there. All her sisters were there. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful send-off for her. As hard as it was very hard, but we knew she wasn't going to get any better. Hospice just on the dime. I would call them with a question. They were there in 15 minutes. The nurses were like sisters as well. They loved to come see us because they got a kick out of our sisterhood. And everybody was just right on. I mean, hospital beds, oxygen tanks, that medication delivered at 10 o'clock at night. I mean, you don't have that with and I wasn't about to take her out anymore to doctor's offices because they can't do anything more for her. But hospice did a lot. A lot. that Sunday morning Marilyn passed, we knew it was time. So thanks to media and all the technology, I FaceTimed my oldest sister, Joan, our matriarch, and I had her on Zoom, and she was able to see Marilyn and say goodbye to her, while my other older sister, Betty, was whispering in her ear how much we all loved her. And while my other sister, Noni, who was really the one she lived with, I lived right next door, so I was close by, but I had the medical knowledge, so I kind of was the lead guy on all this. And it was just, I never saw Marilyn look so peaceful in my life.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Brett Prestia. I'm the Associate Medical Director here at Connecticut Hospice, and I have the honor to represent the entire clinical staff. Before I begin, I was told to remind you that if you want to rewatch this ceremony or share with anyone that was unable to attend, this will be uploaded to our website, and we encourage you to do that. So I have the distinct privilege to speak to you today about legacy. And before I do that, I want to again humbly say thank you to all of you for being here. If I had the honor to care for your loved one or serve them in any way, I want to sincerely thank you for those moments and memories. And I appreciate this moment now, coming back together again. In our line of work, sometimes we don't get to say goodbye to the families. So in a way, a ceremony like today is important for the staff as well. So thank you for coming. Oftentimes, when a nurse calls me to evaluate a patient, I come with the gift of knowledge of what's to come, how to soothe symptoms plaguing the ill. If I'm competent enough, I can impart some of that wisdom to you, to our staff, to our students who train in these halls and in your home. But what most people fail to realize is the greatest teacher in the room is not myself or the other doctors. It's the patient in the bed. Early on in my medical career, I made a habit of collecting some of their advice, stuff that I hope I could carry on with my career as well as impart upon the future students that I would be leading. And the bereavement team here asked me to share some of those words of wisdom, and some of them may be even collected from some of your loved ones today. I have a book. One person said, "Never leave each other if you're mad, talk it out." Another person said, "Be safe. Always have a warm relationship with your family and include everyone. Be sincere, be humble, show by example. Let only happy people be in your bubble," remarked another. Before you get out of bed, think of 3 things that make you happy and do one deed for someone else. Live, laugh, and be grateful. Keep your ears open. Trust in God. Thank God every day. Never give up on someone. Hold on to the one you love and always forgive. Stop smoking. It's good health advice, too. Just enjoy it. Everything is good. Don't put off tomorrow what you can do today. Listen. Go to law school. That wasn't directed at me. Roll with the punches. Keep fighting. Pray. Bet on the Yankees. Maybe not this year. One person said, "Don't drink milk or eat butter." Have lots of family and listen. If you do what you love, it's easier. Do what you think is right and hope that it is. These are just some lessons I wanted to share as we think about the legacy of our loved ones. I know they'll be in your heart, but I want you to know that from the medical team, they're in ours as well. Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon. My name's Lori, and I'm a chaplain here at Hospice. I've been asked to tell you about the flowers you saw everyone carrying that are going out in the boat. Those flowers are to represent your loved ones. And you know that the grass withers, the flower fades, but they leave behind seeds that come up again. You fade too, we fade in our earthly lives, but we leave behind friends and family and other kinds of seeds like legacy projects and important work. So we live on through those who love us, who remember us, who celebrate us and our legacy. I get asked almost every day, how can I do the work of a hospice chaplain? It's so hard, how can you do it? And I do it because it's important work. It's important for me to sit with your loved ones and with you and hear about their lives, hear what you would tell me about them, what they would tell me about you, the memories you share, the life review we do, the love that I get to see. I get to witness how you all are saying your goodbyes and doing the wonderful hard work of anticipatorily grieving. And you do important work as well. You tell your loved ones how important they are to you. You prioritize them. You spend time with them. You lift them up and support you in any way that you can, often trying to think of many ways to make today better or just these next 15 minutes better. And you call people like Hospice to come in and help. or you bring them here so we can help them here. And then they do an important job. They work on saying their goodbyes. They let their body do what it needs to do. They let you love them before they leave. You share memories, you share stories, and we tell you all that the last thing to go is their ears, so they're listening to you. They know you're with them. They love to hear you talking about them in their presence, even if they can't answer. So I thank you all for the important work you do. Whether you wanted to do it or not, you were called to do it, and you did it so well. And whether they wanted to do it or not, they were called to do it, and they do it so well. It's hard work, it's important work. And I thank you for your involvement with their lives and how much you loved those you've lost. I want to close with this poem. It's called The Village of Caring. Beneath the sky, a village twinkled, warm with cozy light, surrounding those within its care when daytime turned to night. The tender souls and helping hands that lived inside this place were there for one another when life got hard to face. They wanted peace for those in need. They hoped for comfort too, and all the goodness in the world to guide and pull them through. But most of all, they wished for just this one truth to be known, that every hurting heart they loved would never be alone. So many caring thoughts surround you and yours today and always, even as your caring thoughts surrounded your loved ones as well. I wish you grace and peace. I wish you light and love, because as you know, love never ends. It just changes form, and I'm told that love is the price. Grief is the price of love. Thank you for loving your people enough to grieve their loss. It's a message from heaven. Thank you for your participation and the hard work you do for your loving families and your loved ones. Amen.
Shadows are falling and I'm running out of breath. Keep me in your heart for a while. If I leave you, it doesn't mean I love you any less. Keep me in your heart for a while. When you get up in the morning and you see that shining sun, keep me in your heart for a while. There's a train leaving nightly, called when it's said and done. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha la 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 li li lo. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha la 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 li li lo. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sometimes when you're doing simple things around the house, maybe you'll think of me and smile. You know I'm tied to you like the buttons on your blouse. Keep me in your heart for a while. Hold me in your thoughts, take Take me to your dreams. Touch me as I fall into view. When the winter comes, keep the fires lit, and I will be right next to you. Engine drivers heading north to Pleasant Street. Keep me in your heart for a while. These wheels keep on turning, but they're running out of steam. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-lo. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-lo. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-lo. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-lo. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-lo. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-lo. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sometimes when you're doing simple things around the house, maybe you'll think of me and smile. You know I'm tied to you like the buttons on your blouse. Keep me in your heart for a while. Hold me in your thoughts. Take me to your dreams. Touch me as I fall into view. When the winter comes, keep the fires lit, and I will be right next to you. Engine drivers heading north to Pleasant Street. Keep me in your heart for a while. These wheels keep on turning, but they're running out of steam. Keep me in your heart for a while.